Makes it sound like
Where,
Taco Bell's revenge.
where's where's the food going, Josh?
Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now for tonight's sponsor, Star Trek the Restaurant. If you're looking for the best plate in the universe, you've warped to the right place. Star Trek the Universe, where the food will boldly go where no one has gone before. Now on to the movie.
Makes it sound like
where-
Taco Bell's revenge.
Where's the food going, Josh?
Or no one has taken it before.
That's not what you're supposed to do with food, Josh.
It's like the restaurant at the end of the universe.
Yep. I was actually thinking about this one. They did a skit on Saturday Night Live in the late 70s, early 80s with Jim Belushi as being Captain Kirk.
Oh,
stuff.
Jim Belushi.
And they were having it was a restaurant. Sorry, I apologize. It was William Shatner was Captain Kirk, of course. And then Jim Belushi was playing, I believe, Leonard Nimoy. So that's, yeah. He was playing Spock, even though I couldn't say the word. Anyways, yeah, that's if you ever get a chance to see it, it's pretty funny. But as everybody can probably hear, we're talking Star Trek today, and the movies this month we're talking about are movies that started out as TV shows. And tonight's TV show that got turned to a movie is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, from 1982. And it was directed by Nicholas Meyer, and it stars William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, Ricardo Montalban, George Takei, Walter Koenig, and Nichelle Nichols.
And you forgot James Doohan.
I did
Come
forget
on.
James Doohan.
Can't
Whoops.
forget him.
I did miss Scotty. Yep, James Doohan as well. Hey, I remembered Ricardo Montalban.
Well, yeah, how could you forget it? He's the showrunner. Or
The only actor on the entire set that outdoes Shatner at chewing the scene.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I've heard him talk about that. That he felt like he had to, because he basically acted by himself. He says it was him and the people on that ship, and he just felt like he had to be bigger than he had to be. I mean, he chews screen no matter what show or movie he's in, but because he felt kind of isolated and alone, he felt like he had to kind of be bigger than life, the way that they had filmed it. And only, I guess, at the very end, after filming and everything, did they actually, Shatner and Montalban actually got to meet each other and actually be like, hey, we acted with each other, kind of.
No, that's a good point. They never shared screen together. There was never a shot with both of them in the same scene.
Nope.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's absolutely right.
That one comes up often, yeah. Anyways,
so I have to say that my dad let me watch this way too early in my life. Okay. And so I remember viscerally when I first saw the earbuds go in and come back out. I was way too young to watch this movie. The earbuds. This is one of the reasons I think Khan has always stood out to me. I mean, there's a lot of the reasons we'll get to, but one of the reasons was I watched this way too early and had nightmares about the bugs for quite a while afterwards. So
they freaked me out too, John.
Yeah, well, and my little sister had the same experience. Apparently, my dad, had her watch it earlier too. So I think maybe I have to continue on the tradition and watch it with my little boy before he's ready. Just keep that emotional scarring in the family.
That's so nice of you.
Thanks, appreciate it.
If I showed my kids right now, they'd be like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's a little maybe desensitized, so it's not as big of a thing. But they still like close-ups of the ear. I mean, you could tell it's a plastic ear, but close-ups of the ear as it goes in and comes out, and with the blood and goo.
Definitely dipped into some body horror.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. The horror edition. This is a
Yeah,
horror
but it sure
film.
it added like a totally different element than a lot of them. I mean, maybe this is why this is regarded as one of the better, or some people think it's the best of the original cast of Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I like it. I think my ratings of the original Star Treks, I put the Journey Home above this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably my favorite out of all
That's
of them,
because you
and
like
maybe
whales.
I like whales. Yeah, I do. I do really like whales. But no, I really like the Journey Home because it just felt different. It was just something different and new and cool, and you can't get over Walter Koenig saying nuclear vessels, over and over. Like
True.
you can't get through that. And then
True.
the whole there's the stakes in that one were always good, but Wrath of Khan comes immediately afterwards for me. So that's kind of my ratings of Star Trek movies, and the rest of them kind of fall in there eventually. I don't really, after the first two, I don't necessarily rate them the rest of the way. So it's like I
What?
get bored after the first two.
No Final Frontier? No sexy Ahura dance
Oh my goodness!
and
I
Number
forgot about
five.
debates
that.
Yeah.
debates with God why he needs a starship?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Wasn't that was Undiscovered Country, right?
Oh, that was
No, that was
Undiscovered Country.
nope. That was
Yeah,
Final
No,
Frontier.
it
that
was
was
Final
Final
Frontier.
Frontier. Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Star Trek V. That was the one that was
What was
directed by William
Undiscovered?
Shatner.
Oh, Undiscovered Country was the
Six.
was
That's with the
yeah
Klingons
with the Klingons
and
and the
the Treaty of
war and
huh
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I messed that one
and
up.
the
I forgot.
Treaty at Kittimer and yeah, all that stuff. It's where the Klingons and okay, I can go on
And
and
the
on about
mag
this.
boots.
The bag
The
boots.
whole
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. But
Yeah.
but Wrath of Khan is like immediately after Journey Home for me. To me it's just it's amazingly well done. I think.
And I would flip that in my opinion. I like Wrath of Khan is probably my favorite. Then I would probably say I would probably say Voyage Home. I like the humor. I like the comedy in it. Even because it's not a ton in space, not a lot of
Hmm.
space battles or anything. But then I
Well,
would
there's
have
like
to go
no space
Undiscovered
battle.
Country. The
Yeah,
only part
Undiscovered
that's
Country's
in
pretty good.
space is when they're going back in time in the
Yeah, there's
fourth one.
literally no space battle. Like for a Star Trek movie, there's no phasers, there's no proton torpedo or photon torpedoes. There's like nothing, and but they still pulled it off as a Star Trek movie, and they did a really good job with it.
Yep.
And it didn't feel. It had the feeling of an episode in the best way possible. I don't know if that makes sense. Like it
Yeah.
took what
Sure.
was what's good about episodes and put them in a movie.
No, it totally makes sense, man. Totally makes sense. And
But
stuff because it does feel like it does feel kind of like a bigger episode, like a mini series or something like that. You
yeah.
know, whereas let me throw this out to you. A lot of people I've seen people comment about this with Wrath of Khan, um, that and I know that I've read this before as well, that it was basically a submarine movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
Definitely.
see that. Yeah, Hunt for Red
Eh,
October in space.
Yep. Nicholas Meyer apparently wanted, swashbuckling in it. He took over from Gene Roddenberry, who they was not looked favorably upon with the motion picture because he did all that one. But Nicholas Meyer wanted to kind of bring back the swashbuckling of the original series. But then he also, I've read it in places that he really wanted to do like a sub movie. That's where you get the side by side stuff and the
Hmm.
firing upon each other, like almost like cannons and things like that, which I thought was
Yeah.
really cool.
There was a weird part in that watch it this time in that they were like, oh, he's thinking in 2D, and it's like, yeah, okay, so they go below him, wonderful. uh it's a little weird that I mean, we've had what they left in 1996 or whatever else like that, like
Hmm.
that's what Khan is from. It's like they
Mm-hmm.
knew about air flight and 3D
Yeah.
space and stuff like that. So but anyway, whatever. uh and then in order to actually fire their torpedoes, they have to come back up the z-axis in line with the other ship to shoot. And I'm like, nothing should work like
Oh,
that. You should just be able to shoot them from
okay.
below. You don't need to do that. And that
Yeah,
that
they're
that really,
self-tracking.
yeah, that really reminded me of kind of a uh a submarine style where you can't
Hmm.
really you aim the ports by aiming the ship type thing.
Right.
Which we all know in Star Trek that's not true at all. They can shoot those
Well,
photon
even in
torpedoes
that,
any way they want, or
yeah,
phasers or whatever.
Yep.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
it was interesting. Yeah,
I
there
think
was
that's
something that caught me out.
good
Kind
thought.
of the same kind of thing where it takes you out of the movie. When you rewatch it, it's when they're in the Genesis cave and he beams out the Genesis project. It's like, why doesn't he just beam out Kirk and the rest of them? Like he can obviously beam out the Genesis project. He didn't beam up the rest of the individuals to kill them. Like I didn't. That was the one part that. Well, there's a couple parts, but
there's
that
a
was a
lot of
part that
part. But
that was a part that was for me like the whole let's point the ship to shoot the photon torpedo. It was just like, oh, okay, he just beamed Genesis out, and not the okay, but
Well, I mean, they made it sound like he was just wanting to leave them to rot and die because he didn't really know about the Genesis cave. He just thought it was, they were under the ground and wouldn't be able to get out. I mean, that's
yeah,
what way I took it anyway.
yeah, and I to me it felt like he was doing that as an afterthought. He couldn't have his cake and eat it too, so he's going to burn the cake. Basically, that's kind of what I felt.
well, yeah, I was thinking more along the lines of like Khan is supposed to be this incredibly intelligent person, and Captain Kirk's taunts were obvious. Like there's no subtlety here as far as like, you want me, I'm here, you'll have to beam down. It's like that doesn't, yeah, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. Like you just beam him up. But you know, I don't know. This is it is a Star Trek episode writ large, I think,
Hmm.
because it has the same type of ideas around the technology and the usage and stuff like that. Everything in there is for plot, and it's not really meant to be cohesive. It's not meant to be like you're supposed to watch, like you watch a old Star Trek episode or even new ones, and you're supposed to be like, oh, that was cool, and then you go on with your day. Like it doesn't stick with
Yeah.
you. And this one doesn't either. I mean, there's lots of themes in this movie of aging, the no-win scenarios, life generation, obsession, but it doesn't. Nothing. None of that's really going to stick. I mean, some great performances, some memorable lines,
Some
and a
cool
lot of
set
fun.
pieces.
Yeah, some really cool
Yeah.
set pieces, some really interesting wardrobe. Have you noticed that everyone in Star Trek wears heels in this movie?
I did
Even the
not.
guys have heels. It's crazy. I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
I didn't know
I
that.
did not
Notice
even
that.
notice that.
I mean, they're flat platforms. They're not like, stilettos, but
Right.
still, it's like, that's everybody was wearing them. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting choice.
um yeah, I didn't even notice that. But I get exactly what you're saying with the episode writ large, because the setup in the beginning, and this is one of the things I really liked and like about this film. But the setup in the beginning, where they're approaching each other, and he doesn't put his shields up, so that the Enterprise gets heavily damaged, and you're like, how are they going to get out of this? That's a classic episode.
Hmm.
That's a the plot puts them in this position that you have no idea how they're going to get out, and it does a really good job, I think, in this case, because it teases a fate worse than death, because it's like, oh no, they could actually lose the Enterprise. Like this is a serious, like, we're teasing the loss of the Enterprise here. And so it's kind of this fate worse than death. It's like, well, what's Star Trek without the Enterprise? Like, what's gonna happen if this really goes on? And so I give lots of kudos to this movie for immediately putting the Enterprise in such mortal danger, where it didn't feel like everything's going to be happy and everything's going to be fine at the end, and it'll take a little surface damage and it'll be fine. It's like, holy crap, the Enterprise just got sideswiped and is going to die.
Hmm.
um, I really enjoyed that about this episode, and I think
Episode.
good. Yeah, sorry, this movie. But I think good movies and good episodes do that. They tease
Hmm.
fates worse than death, and put them in situations where it's hard to imagine. There's no obvious way out of the situation. You're like, oh crap, what's he going to do? Like, there's no obvious, he can just raise his shields and fight back. Like, oh no, that's not going to work. So that's one of my favorite parts about this movie, is it immediately takes the stakes and just shoves them way up there. It's like, no, oh, by the way, this is gonna be bad.
Hmm.
Right on.
No follow up.
No,
Okay.
I
I was
thought Josh
wondering
was
if
gonna jump on that.
so did I. I thought I thought you were gonna get in on that too. That's like
No, I think he's right. It's yeah, it's interesting that way. Have you guys thought about how this compares to JJ's con, or I guess Benedict Cumberbatch's con?
uh,
um,
Like
I
comparing the two performances and the screenplay and everything.
I think that uh, Benedict Cumberbatch's character shouldn't have been called Khan. It wasn't Khan. There was a couple other characters he was a little bit more closer to, in the way he played it. Some people would say like possibly more like a Harry Mudd or
well,
from the older different series. But
they posted him as like post-human almost, where these are like super soldiers, where Khan is supposed to be extremely intelligent and all of that, but he wasn't
mhm.
superhuman. He was from the year 1996. He was human. He came from Earth. Where
No,
Khan was supposed to go ahead.
he did have like superhuman strength. They
Oh,
showed
that's
that
true because yeah, he
couple of
lifted up
times,
Walter Koenig, and
and the debris from his kid and everything.
that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. Um, yeah, no, I guess, but they focused I think a lot more in Abrams Khan on like the superhuman aspect, whereas
Mhm.
in this one it was subtle, and let's show it. Let's not tell it as much. They
Yeah,
still told it a lot, but they wanted to show it.
one thing I've seen before is that um, the screenplay. The interesting thing that the screenplay does in the '82 movie is the introduction to Khan is basically Chekhov's reaction to finding him. Right, like there's a person
Yeah.
on screen that knows who he is and what he does and stuff like that, and so it lands. Whereas in the introduction of Khan in J.J. Abrams movies, it is to people who have no idea who he is, and so his whole melodramatic speech and the way he says his name is literally for the audience. No one he's actually talking to knows anything about that. Like if you were standing off the side and you saw him do that, you'd be like, this guy's insane because I don't know what he's doing, because none of the
That's
people there know anything about him.
that's very true. You see Khan like turn to the wall. It's like, what is he looking at?
Yeah,
He's
pretty
looking at
much.
the camera. No, you're absolutely right. Koenig's reaction to it helped that whole scene land
Hmm.
because it's like,
Because he was there. He was in the original
Khan.
episode. He was
Yeah,
in the original episode with Khan. He was there, so it was good screenplay. It's just like it's an easy thing, but it's something that JJ's just totally missed. Just decided not to do or left it on the cutting room floor or something. Is like the introduction, the Kirk and McCoy and all them have no idea who he is uh, in JJ's uh, movie.
version.
So
Yeah,
like that, yeah. So like when you step back, you're like, oh wait, that doesn't make any sense that he would say it that way. Like he's supposed to know who he is. Whereas in this one, you've got a character who was in the original episode, and there's a continuity there. So you get to do the introduction of Khan. You get to have a person on screen reacting scared to this fact of what they've just found, and
and
it
it's Chekhov that's scared
cements.
to this fact.
Yeah, exactly, and it cements the dangerousness of this character. It's really great.
And the fact that the other captain didn't know, and so Koenig kind of gets to play it up even more.
Yep,
Like it just
yep.
does a really good job. It's like, you don't know, you don't know, you're screwed. Like we're
Y-
hosed, man. We got to get out of here. It's
Yeah,
game over.
I think it's a textbook great introduction of a pre-existing character to old and new audiences at the same time. It's done
Yeah.
really well.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, really enjoyed the playing off of Montalban and Chekhov. Like it's, even when they make that call out to the thing, and Chekhov is like reminding him like, oh, they're gonna come, and Montalban's like, oh yes, I know. Like just
Yeah,
that whole play, like their chemistry together was so well done. So I think you're absolutely right. Landing that scene changed. I wonder how much the Abrams con would have changed if it was treated more of along the lines of like they know who he is type deal.
right.
The
Yep.
thing with Abrams' Khan, though, guys, is it wasn't about anything other than the bait and switch. I mean, in my
Well,
opinion.
and then they needed his blood to save Kirk.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes, but I'm not saying that the plot was worse. I'm saying that the introduction of the character of Khan was worse. Like it was written kind of ridiculously.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you have to remember how Benedict Cumberbatch delivered the name, and then think about who he's actually talking to across the glass, who has no idea who he is.
Yeah.
You know, so that delivery doesn't look like it's for Kirk. It looks like it's for the audience.
That's true.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the movie was bad or was badly written. It was actually pretty enjoyable. It's just that I think as a contrast of the same character being introduced to the audience, one is like allowing the characters on screen to react because one of them knows who they are and is scared. The other one is confused and doesn't know who they are. So they get to do an introduction and also hey, there's someone on who knows how dangerous this person is, right? And in JJ's, they don't do that. They basically just wink at the camera. You know, they don't necessarily. It's not a real interaction between people, and that's all I'm comparing. I'm not comparing the rest of the movies.
Right on. Yeah. Totally different approaches, and yet, even Abrams has come back and said, that I handled that weird.
Oh,
And
okay. I
he
didn't know
regrets
that.
how he did. He said he regrets on how he handled it, and he even said that it was more about the reveal than it was anything else.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I don't. Yeah, I like the elegance of how the '82 movie did it
Mm-hmm.
in comparison.
But the '82 movie also had the whole idea of it really in a lot of people's minds at that time. It hadn't been that long since they had been introduced to Khan on TV show.
Sure.
So they had a lot more to go on. They did it way better, but they did it way better because of that reason that they were still
Well,
relying on people.
I'll push
to
back on that
probably
because
know the character.
yeah,
Okay.
I push back on that because I think that's a subtlety I'm not getting across. They have two characters on screen reacting to Khan's entrance in the '82 movie. That's a deliberate choice to have the captain who doesn't know representing the part of the audience that didn't see the original episode. And then they have Chekhov, who's
Good call.
representing the rest of the audience that does know, that did see the episode. So they
Mhm.
allowed to have both characters be stand-ins for the audience. So if you've seen the movie or you've seen the episode, you recognize as soon as Chekhov recognizes what they're dealing with. Whereas if you haven't seen the episode, you're with the captain, you're confused and you're worried about why Chekhov wants to get out of here. You get to have both audiences represented as characters, and that's really important to getting the entire audience connected to the scene and understanding how dangerous Khan is.
Good point. Okay, I never thought about it that way. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. What did you guys think about like some of the other actors? One of the I don't know if you guys know this about the movie that Leonard Nimoy almost didn't come back as Spock.
Really?
Who would they have gotten to replace him? That would have been
They
interesting.
were talking. Yeah, there was a name. I can't remember what the name of it is. I didn't. I couldn't find it for this podcast, but there was
Jeff
someone
Bridges.
that they had. Jeff Bridges.
Macaulay Culkin. Wait,
Oh,
in '82
geez.
he wasn't alive.
Yeah, I was
so
about to
never
say,
mind.
like, I don't think he was there yet.
So here's how they got him back. They told him that if he did come back, they would kill off the character. And the reason he wanted that, and the reason that he was okay with that, is that he felt at that point that he had been typecast, and he had been since the Star Trek TV show had gone off the air. He had been working really hard to move away from the Mr. Spock character because he felt like he was typecast, and so that's why he didn't want to come back because he felt like he was typecast, and he wanted to do lots of other things. But they said, okay, if we kill you off, will you come back? And that's what got him back.
And then they bring him back to life.
Well, here's
it's like
the
a
funny
little bait
Well,
and
no,
switch here.
here's the funny thing. Yeah, he directed that one.
That's the way they got him back for the third one.
That's true.
Yep.
They said we're thinking about doing it, and we want you to direct. If you direct and star, will you come back? And they said yes. But if you notice in the show of the search for Spock, how little he actually is in it.
Yeah, that's
He,
true.
he he's in it very little. He's only in it at the end as adult Spock.
Yeah,
The
because
whole
you
rest
get
of the
young
time is another
Spock.
person. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, I like the fact that Star Trek 2 exists because it gave us Galaxy Quest. Because, like, there's just everything about Star Trek 2 is basically in Galaxy Quest, including having the actor that plays the alien logical, thing not want his career. Like, it literally
Yeah,
reflects, the
not
exact
want his
same
career
scenario.
reflected.
Yeah, he doesn't like being stuck as this like one character in this one movie. It's great. It's great.
Where's he at in his speech? Did I miss the part? Like as he
Yeah.
goes, it's amazing. Man, Alan Rickman killed it.
Yep.
He is amazing.
Alan Rickman channeling Leonard Nimoy, both the actor and the character he's playing. It's great.
Pretty much. It's funny how many of these characters went through this. William Shatner went through this. That's where he's he went through the whole thing of not wanting to always be known as Captain Kirk. That's where he gives the speech in Saturday Night Live to get a life. I
Yeah.
don't know if you get that one. Leonard Nimoy went through it. I mean, heck, Patrick Stewart's been through it. And it seems like somewhere in life they just came to the understanding of, you know what, this isn't such a bad thing to be known as
Yeah.
Spock or Kirk or
No,
Picard.
you fight it when you want to be your own artist until the point where basically capitalism allows you, it basically says this is what you're known for. If you want to continue to get paid, it's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
It's pretty cynical, but I agree.
I mean, if there's evidence of wrongness, and then I'd be open to
No,
that. But so far,
I
it
say
doesn't
it's
seem so.
cynicism doesn't necessarily have to be wrong. It just
Sure.
it's still cynical. But you don't want to. You don't know Russell. You don't know William Shatner for his performance of Rocket Man.
I mean, a lot of people know that he did it, and
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is I don't think
that's
people would have
true.
known it if he hadn't have been,
Hadn't been,
yeah,
the Captain Kirk.
exactly.
I actually really enjoy his covers like that. I don't even know what you call that.
Spoken word.
Yeah, spoken word covers, I guess.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoy them.
Okay.
Really enjoy
Do you actually have a Spotify playlist of just his stuff that you put on every once in a while?
I
Okay,
saved one of his albums.
Define enjoy then.
That I will seek it out to listen to it, probably on a bi-yearly basis.
You're a strange man, John. Very strange man.
I really enjoy
I'm
it.
not.
Like it's.
I'm not knocking you. You enjoy what you enjoy, but at the same time, you're pretty strange.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no
But I
problem.
really like it, and I like the fact that he was wanting to branch out and branched out into something so interesting. Like to me, it's just interesting, like what he chose to do.
Yeah.
You mean you don't think that that's better than his 1993 TV show Tech War, do you? Come on. Have you guys ever seen it?
No.
No, I haven't. I know it exists, but
he wrote a whole series of books called the Tech Wars, and they actually had on USA. They ran for 2 seasons Tech War, and it had the guy from My Two Dads, one of the dads from My Two Dads. That was not Paul Reiser.
You got to make sure it's TEK.
Yeah, it's
Tech
TEK.
War, all one word.
That's right.
Yeah. So if you're Googling at home, Google it right.
So if he was making an effort to break away from Captain Kirk, he sure went far afield.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was trying to get away from it. Woo! But he was like the head guy. I mean, come on, that's like the head police tech enforcer. I mean,
Right.
that's still getting
So
away from it, right?
who do
Mhm.
you think
A
got
little.
away from and getting away from their title role or their iconic role is a hard thing to say anyways because they never really get away from it. But who do you think it did a better job of branching out, Patrick Stewart or William Shatner?
Patrick Stewart for sure.
Yeah,
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 I think I'm in the same boat with that, especially acting wise.
I mean, is is Professor Xavier that different from,
From
Captain
Captain
Picard?
Picard, not really.
I
I
mean, so but at the same time, I pretty
He's not
much
Captain
like
Picard in that movie, I
yeah,
guess.
he's not Captain Picard in that movie. So yeah.
the hard part with Shatner is a lot of his acting. He did a lot of his other acting before Star Trek. I mean, he was in a crap ton of westerns, and he was in the
Well,
Twilight
Twilight
Zone.
Zone, yeah.
Yeah, things like that. He did a lot of his other acting in those days, but once he hit Star Trek, yeah, he didn't. He tried to branch out, but he didn't. He didn't get to that as much as I think he wanted to.
Or
Yeah.
there was a movie that he was in. I want to say it was like 10, 20 years ago, but I'm not sure. Where he played the bad guy, like he was the main antagonist. No, it wasn't 10 years. That
Loaded
was
Weapon.
literally, yeah, the first movie podcast we did,
I
where
was
he
about
was
to
the
say,
bad guy
like,
for Loaded Weapon, which
yeah.
was a lot longer than 10 or 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
It was. And he played. I mean, he kind of played a funny version of a bad guy, but I mean,
Sure.
but yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
it's
one of his
Loaded Weapon.
branches, I guess. Yeah, right. And he's great selling Girl Scout cookies with Tim Curry.
Yeah. Don't want to
I love
revisit that
William
movie.
Shatner. But Ricardo Montalban is like the one that I didn't. I've seen obviously a Naked Gun, but I've never watched the old Planet of the Apes, so I don't know him from that. First time I ever saw him at all
Wait,
was
Ricardo
in Wrath of
Montalban
Khan.
was in the old Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
I didn't remember that.
I can't remember if he was in the earlier ones. Let me check his IMDb page.
I used to watch him in
Got to
Fantasy
scroll
Island.
way down.
Him and Tattoo, the plane, boss, the plane. You know that show. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed watching him back then. That's what I know him from. That and Wrath of Khan. But
Yeah, I only really know him from Wrath of Khan. So
and whatever I saw him, acting in, well, Star Trek, Space Seed, which is the original episode that he was in as Khan. But I mean, other than that, I mean, those are the only things I know him from. But I think he's great in all of them. Definitely
yeah,
great.
no, I'm sure he is. He does a great job in this one. I think my favorite thing from this podcast tonight has been the submarine movie aspect of it because it just now it reminds me of The Hunt for Red October, and I want to go watch The Hunt for Red October again.
Oh, geez.
So I watch that one at least once or twice a year.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is probably one of my all time favorite movies.
And yet still hasn't made it on the podcast.
Yeah, how's that happen?
It just hasn't fit well in any of the categories that I don't know. It hasn't fit well.
Right.
Like it could be an espionage maybe, but at the same time not really. I mean, it could have been our action film, I guess, but
So how happy would you be if I announced the genre as nautical movies?
oh, I'd be amazed. But I don't know that I'd still choose Hunt for the Red October.
Really? Even
I
with as much as we've bent genres in order to get movies on here, come
that's
on.
true. Maybe I'm scared about bringing my favorite movie on
Because you don't want us picking it apart.
Yeah,
Come on.
it's like keep my rose-colored glasses on the whole time.
Ah,
No, but I
think
don't
it's
know.
pretty
It'd
safe
probably
with
make
that.
the list, but Master and Commander would probably be on that list for sure.
Yeah.
And a couple of others. I wish we could do the miniseries because the Horatio Hornblower miniseries would be on there. If we're doing nautical movies. But no, the submarine movie in space is great, and I'm going to take that and run with it now. Anytime I watch this with somebody else, like, do you know this is like a submarine movie? And just watch their minds explode and never be able to ignore that fact now.
So this other person's your kid. Okay, I got you.
That's true. Yeah, my kid. I have watched Hunt for the Red October for my kid. I skipped the part where he breaks the guy's neck, but that's really about the end of it, and the part where he shoots the guy at the end. But that's really the only two parts I skipped. The rest of it he doesn't understand. He just loves the submarines.
Sure.
So, but I
Well,
couldn't
cool.
do that with Wrath of Khan. The bugs would have gotten him.
I mean, you
My
could skip
wife
the
would have.
bugs.
My wife would have killed me. It's true. I could have skipped the bugs, and it wouldn't have been too bad. There
Yeah.
wasn't too much blood and gore. But
Awesome.
that's kind of all I. Go ahead.
Yeah, one last thing. I do think it's interesting they're able to hold a conversation while being teleported. I'm like, how does the physics work for that? Like, I get you, teleportation,
Yeah, what happens
pretty
to sound
magical in the
waves?
first place. But yeah, they were like talking and their voices fade in too, and I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. That seems
That's
like
really
it's
new.
new. Yeah, I
No,
think that's new.
it's really just the transporter tech turning down the volume and turning it back up slowly as they come in. It's like, "Beep." This is a really cool effect, and everyone just assumes it's normal. And it's just that one transporter tech. Oh man.
All right, ratings.
I'd. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, I will give it a 9 out of 10. Guns.
All right.
Oh, I'm good thing I've got like some dampening on for my ears. I would watch this with my mom. She's a big fan of Chekhov,
Oh,
so
really?
Okay.
she likes Star Trek. She enjoys the movies, but she's a real big fan of Walter Koenig. So I don't know if she had like a crush on him when she was younger or whatnot, but
Okay.
she's a real big fan of Chekhov.
All right. And I would give it a 7 out of 10. It is a great time. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it is a fun movie. Fun movie. All right. Good podcast, guys. Let's go on to the new topic. What do you got for us, Crit?
Not new topic.
Sorry,
but
I meant
picks for this topic.
Picks for this topic. That's what I meant to say.
We'll do new topic afterwards.
Yep.
All right. Number 1. The music is great, but the animation is mediocre.
Okay.
Number 2. Teaching a foreign official American ways. And number 3. Bounty hunters can save the population of Mars.
So I'm leaning towards 1 because I'm a big fan of music.
Okay.
So if the music's great, I'm definitely leaning towards 1.
Number 1's fine.
Oh, all right. Okay. So number 2 is teaching a foreign official American ways. Borat.
That'd be good.
Bounty hunters can save the population on Mars. That's Cowboy Bebop, the movie.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That would have been fun. And the one you picked, the music is great, but the animation is mediocre, is the South Park movie. Longer,
Oh,
bigger,
heck
and uncut.
yes. Yes.
Wow. I've never seen, I have seen most of it.
I love South Park. I love South Park. This will be great.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
All right.
That'll be great.
Okay. And are we ready for the genre and the next genre we're going to be doing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So our new pick for the genre is gangster and or mobster movies.
Okay.
Gangster or mobster movies. Got it. Okay.
All right.
Looks like I need to brush up on my gangster and mobster movies.
Yeah.
For the next one. All right. Great. Okay. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. That's what it is, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. And mobster movies. Okay. Got it. I know what my assignment is for the week. And John, thanks for picking this movie. It was wonderful to have a Star Trek movie on here. I think it's our first, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
Which I can't.
Unless you count Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
No. Galaxy Quest stands alone in its amazingness. Except for it's built on the back of every Star Trek out there, so you can't really say that. Whoops.
Exactly. So okay, yeah. I mean, it was wonderful, and I'm glad you picked it. And you know, thanks for being on here, both of you guys. And as always, to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. And if you like here, please click the like button. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper. From all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our